Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and the planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today's episode 176, and it's Why the System Sucks Rant. I'm not really feeling the system right now, and I'm sure a lot of you aren't as well. I wanted to talk about my disposition with the system and maybe a couple things of how we can get out, but I'm kind of angry, and it's more of a rant that's probably going to come out. But I want to help. That's what I need help, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do because this system sucks. It's not taking care of me or my family. We got to figure out other shit. So we're a lot of the show, we may rant, but let's come up with some solutions instead of looking at all the problems all the time. So the background noise you guys are hearing is my F-350 pickup truck on my work commute. Sorry about that. Every chance I can get a good clean recording for you guys, I do so, but we're very busy right now. So maybe in the future when we get a lot of listeners, we can actually get a studio because all of the shows are broadcasted in the front of my pickup truck, whether I'm driving or not. But I kind of wanted to give a little update here. Today is Monday, and I want to start doing some shows about 5 days a week, Monday through Fridays if I can make it, and instead of the regular Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I'm hoping to get more, get the show off the ground. I need you guys' help, but we'll talk about that. Let's give you value first, though. So the system really, really sucks. So here's where we go. Here's where we're at. I've been paying into taxes. A lot of people have been paying into taxes, and for those of you who are just tuning in, I have a special needs daughter, and she's can't really attend school. There's a lot of difficulties that we have in our lives, and we're trying to fix things up. And I definitely work. I'm not looking for a handout, but I wanted to find out from the government, for any powers that be, anything. What is out there in case we end up on the streets? What if we end up homeless? What if it ends up where I can't work anymore? I'm in no way in danger here. I have enough money to sustain me for probably 3 years if I just sat on my ass. I have a very low overhead. I've designed my life relatively great, not good, great, to sustain hard times. But the long game, which I think a lot of people don't look into, especially with the system bleeding and milking you, in the long game, if I'm not able to work and I have to ask for a handout like a lot of these people do, then I beseech that. I got myself a lawyer, told him I would hire him, pay him some good coin. What is out there? What could you get from me? Basically, what kind of housing, what kind of supplemental income, food stamps, Medi-Cal, so I would get food stamps, I would get Medi-Cal, but I would get maybe about $1,000 a month for me and my daughter to be able to live on. But we do have food stamps between the two of us. I don't know how much they would give us, maybe like $200-300, who knows. Housing really is very difficult. I don't think they said that most likely is Section 8, especially here in Southern California. It ain't gonna happen. But basically, as he said, I asked him, I says, well, how are we supposed to live on something like that if that day occurs? And he says, I don't know. There is. He says, you are. I said, basically, let's get it down to brass tacks. I'm on my own. There is no help. He says, no, there's not very much of it out there. So I got very angry. I got very pissed off, but I know that I like hearing this. It may sound strange to you. I like when the door is slammed in my face because that means it's a road that shouldn't be traveled on. We need to pivot and we need to do something else. So I'm all about survival. I'm sure you guys are too. I'm about the well-being of my children. And I don't want to sit here playing patty cake with the government or things like that. Although I am paying an exorbitant amount of taxes, and I pay them. I do everything legal. Do I like it? No. But I am definitely seeking the loopholes and things. I have to. But this, I think, pours into enough about my life. I think a lot of your lives are affected by things like this too, because you're probably looking for some help. You're probably going to need some if we hit this great reset, this recession that a lot of people are talking about. Where do you go? What do you do? And I think a lot of people, like with these stimulus checks, are waiting, well, they'll give us a stimulus check. Basically, I feel like and I got one too, so I'm not talking shit here. Like I said, I'm grateful. If you're going to give me some money of all the taxes that I've paid into, and you're going to give me some of that back, I'll definitely take that. But Unlike most people, I think, where they're using that to go buy a TV or basically, I hope that people are using it to survive, paying the rent, buying food and things like that. But I think a lot of people are just standing there waiting for somebody else to do something. And if it is your government agencies, I don't think that they're going to do much at all. And how could they? Why should they? How could they? If we get thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are sitting there looking for a piece of bread, how are they supposed to sustain that, right? So our system sucks, at least here. I know we got listeners all over the world, but we've got people citizens that aren't even from here, and they've got help, grants, money for schooling and for all kinds of different things. And one of the saddest things I just looked at is that special needs families are pretty much swept under the carpet, especially if you have a female special needs child. There's just a lot of legal bullshit that needs to happen. And I think I want to build a podcast one of these days to help people to figure out what to do, because I've seen some pretty helpless people, and they're relying on Social Security, SSI, and they're relying on IEPs and things like that for education and things. But as far as the well-being and living, I don't think it's gonna help much. But so let's talk a little bit more about this fucking this system and why it sucks. And I want to talk about inflation first. And I think this is super, super important. I just learned another key to inflation. For those of you who don't know, that's when you have a dollar, right? And then next thing you know, a few years go by, and what you were able to buy with that dollar, say a stick of bubble gum for 50 cents, is now a full dollar. That means that your dollar is only worth half of what it was. So what we have is a rise in cost of living. So a lot of people who are retired or saving money to buy a home and things like that, as we progress into this right now, if you look at lumber prices and food prices, they're rising, but your pay rate has stayed the same, right? You're not making that much more money. So that means that you're actually losing money. But one of the things I learned from inflation is that it's not necessarily we're affected just by the rise of goods. You know, what do they call it? The GPD, gross, whatever. I can't think of the phrase right now. But basically, when the Federal Reserve will go and start printing more money, because there's more money in circulation, that means that the dollar amount starts to wane, right? And what are they doing right now? They're printing money. They're not even hiding it. They're saying that we're printing money. If you don't think they're printing money, go do some research. Go look around. Look at the news. They're openly saying it. The dollar used to be backed by something like gold and things like that, gold coins, and have currency. And I think it was Nixon that stopped all that, where we did a switch in money. I don't understand the financials 100%. I'm not claiming that I'm some professional here at all, but I do know the basics. And this is the things that I think that we all need to heed. So we talked about inflation. By the way, we're going to have to cut these shows down to 15 minutes if I'm going to do 5 days a week. Let me know what you guys think about this new routine. If you like it or not, comment. It's upandinitshow@gmail.com. Email me. Give me a middle finger or give me a thumbs up. But let's move forward on saving is for losers. And this is some of the richest people out there. A lot of investors, people like Robert Kiyosaki. Basically, that's what they're saying is that inflation will rise, and those who keep saving their money and don't invest it aren't really coming out ahead. In fact, it's actually costing them money. And this is the trick. This is you've been tricked, and then we get a treat. Trick or treat, just like Halloween. You get a trick and then you get this little treat. Here you go. You know, keep going. Everything's going to be just fine. So we start saving money. Saving is for losers. There's a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't think really touches too much. There's Grant Cardone. There's who's some people I like to listen to. Ken McElroy. So a lot of these people, what they do is the rich basically is they take their money and they invest it instead of letting it sit in a bank. If you think about interest rates, from when you stick your money in a bank, even up to $100,000, you're not really going to make that much money over the years. In fact, you're going to lose money. The bank will pay you, yes, for keeping that savings account, but it's very, very minuscule. I don't know. I've got like $30,000 in a bank savings account, and I think it's maybe made for the past 4 years, and I think it's maybe made like $50 or something like that. So you see, and also the inflation rate, that money is not worth that much anymore. So We need to start thinking like the rich and start investing. I think I want to do an entire show on how to save money. Like, before you invest, you actually got to have something to invest, right? So that's why I always say you need to run your life like a business, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now, is start to organize my home a little more efficient. So the reason why I'm pissed off and bringing all this up right now is, like I said, I just got my balls chopped off, right? There's no help, there's no nothing out there. I kind of always knew that, but I know for sure now by talking to a lawyer, a professional who does these sort of things for special needs families, and I've got to move forward. So now it's time to pull the swords out, and it's time to start acting, right? So saving is for losers. We need to save some money. So definitely, I think a show, if you guys want it, again, upandinitshow@gmail.com. Comment. Let me know if you guys want to hear about how I'm doing this, what I'm doing to combat it. But when I say it's a trick, if you guys think about everything that I've just said, and if you look around you and start doing your own research, you're going to find out that a lot of the work you've been working. I got here on my it's a trap, and I have the cost of your time, and you're just getting by. So you're working really hard, and that's the trick and the trap, is that you're working 9 to 5, you're trying to save money. All we're doing literally is surviving. And I think that's fine for a lot of people, but when you go into a Walmart or something like that, and you do see somebody who's very old and they still have to work, and I think this is becoming more common as we progress further in time here. I know for a fact that a lot of clients who are well-to-do, seemingly well-to-do, got the car, the 3-4 car garage in the house. They said they nearly didn't save enough, and most of them plan on selling their homes and downsizing to survive. So the trickle method in this whole thing is like quantitative easing and things like that is what they call, where you couldn't just drop the bomb, just like this whole COVID-19 thing, like with the hospitals and everything and the shutdowns. A lot of people are probably wondering, what is it necessary to have these shutdowns? And in a way, you guys know how I feel about the government. I don't really support them. I hate them, really. I hate to use that word in that context, but I really dislike these bastards. But I agree, if I was in power, that we had a breakout, I would definitely say that people should quarantine, because we wouldn't want the whole entire nation to get sick all at once and bombard the hospitals, right? If there's any way we can ease this trickle method, quantitatively ease this into what it needs, what it's going to run its course. This is the same thing, I think, what's happening right now with this recession. I think a lot of the government's giving money to people to help hope that they'll spend to artificially inflate the economy so that it doesn't appear that we're having a recession. I really believe that's what's happening. Again, I don't know, but a lot of people smarter than me are kind of insinuating that this is what's happening. So they're pumping money into stocks. That's why the stock market hasn't crashed. And by the way, I have learned, and I don't really fully understand this yet, but the stock market has nothing to do with the economy. When you say that the stock market's crashing or the economy's crashing, in which sectors? This made a lot of sense. So the housing